You want nuclear weapons? I'm against nukes.
Yeah, but Mehdi, you wouldn't dispute.
Would you not think it's rational? Ukraine gave up nukes, got invaded. Saddam Hussein gave up nukes, got invaded and executed. Gaddafi gave up chemical weapons, got invaded, raped and killed.
They're trying to murder Trump?
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. If you really believe
we're
that.
carrying out military strikes today.
I can guarantee you that if the Ayatollah gets a nuclear weapon, he will use it. I believe that with all my heart and soul.
Welcome to Veteran Uncensored, the podcast, your go-to place for clarity in the chaos. I'm your host, Chris Rodriguez, and today things are moving rather fast. We are witnessing the biggest escalation in the Middle East in over a decade. Israel versus Iran, missiles in the sky, global powers on edge. And the United States, well, we're right in the middle of all this. In this episode, we're breaking down what just happened between Israel and Iran, what's happening at the moment, how the U.S. is reacting, and what it really means for American soldiers and American people. And MAGA is very much divided as we speak. Where could it go next? War, peace, or collapse? Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and buckle up. Well, let's start with some facts. In a move that stunned even longtime analysts, Israel launched a full-scale air assault on Iran's suspected nuclear sites 2 nights ago. It was dubbed Operation Rising Lion. Israeli warplanes penetrated deep into Iranian airspace, decimating a bunch of these facilities, killing a lot of leaders from the Iranian regime. And Iran, well, they wasted no time firing back. And President Trump, what was his response? Well, he took on social media and he said, "We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. Iran had good sky trackers and other defensive equipment, and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived, and manufactured stuff. Nobody does it better than the good old US of A." He also called for unconditional surrender of the regime. Now, of course, Trump has been a big advocate for not starting a new war, and people now have been criticizing him for it and using his own words against him. Now let's go back and take a look at what he said in 2019 about starting wars. The United States has spent $8 trillion fighting and policing in the Middle East. Thousands of our great soldiers have died and been badly wounded. Millions of people have died on the other side. Going into the Middle East is the worst decision ever made. But with that being said, that's not the only thing he has said in the past that people are forgetting about. He also said this about Iran's nuclear weapon. Laura Loomer now reporting this, that he said, "We will totally dismantle Iran's global network, which is big and powerful, but not powerful like us." A real Donald Trump in 2016. He has always been the same. Some of you just got a taste of the Qatari money, including Tucker Carlson, who is listed in Farah as taking money from Qatar this year alone. So right there and then you see MAGA being split down the middle. Tucker Carlson was fired from Fox, of course, and of course it worked out for him since he's getting his own network, so to speak. However, a lot of people still say he is bitter, and although he has apologized to Donald Trump for what we're about to see in just a minute, he still said what he said. Now listen, Iran is no saint of my devotion. They clearly don't help their cause when they chant death to America. Now there is a legitimate question here, just to be objective. Why is Israel allowed to refuse to admit that it has a large nuclear arsenal, which it does, and Iran can't have them? Well, I have the simple answer that obviously Iran has been threatening to use their fanaticism in their religion and annihilate people for it or that don't agree with it. And Israel really hasn't done that, at least publicly. People do want to use conspiracy theories about Israel and being genocidal, etc. Listen, I'm neither here nor there. But at the end of the day, I think Israel is a democratic country and Iran is a terrorist regime. However, let's take a look at Mehdi Hassan with Piers Morgan and as they discuss this situation.
Piers, you asked me a question at the beginning. It was a great question. Put yourself in Israel's shoes. We should always have empathy for whoever it is, enemies, allies. Let me ask the question back to you. Put yourself in the shoes of an Iranian official sitting in Tehran today who looks at a map of the region and sees Israel with nukes, Russia with nukes, Pakistan with nukes, India with nukes, nuclear-armed America next door in Iraq. Wouldn't you want nuclear weapons? I'm against nukes.
Yeah, but if
put
you're
yourself
the
in that
regime,
person's position.
Mehdi,
if you look at,
but Mehdi, you wouldn't dispute.
would you not think it's rational
Well,
to have nukes?
my response would be this: you wouldn't dispute that Iran's tentacles have been fueling for a long period of time Hamas, the Houthis, Hezbollah, and I presume you wouldn't also dispute that the tactical attack on Hezbollah through the pages, 3,000 of them targeted in a very precise way, that has led to Hezbollah basically, throwing the towel in and saying we're not going to get engaged in this war with Iran, which is a very significant moment in this whole war, I would argue.
If your question is, has Israel degraded Iran's supports abroad, its proxies, 100%. But that's irrelevant to the rightness or wrongness of this. I'm asking you to put yourself
but all
in the
those
position
proxies want to
of
kill
an Iranian
Israelis,
government.
right? So that's why I think that Israel has a right.
Let's not get... Well, as you've agreed, Israel's doing much of the killing right now. But let me just ask you this. Again, Ukraine gave up nukes, got invaded. Saddam Hussein gave up nukes, got invaded and executed. Gaddafi gave up chemical weapons, got invaded, raped and killed. Again, if you're the Iranians, are you not looking at this thinking, this means we need nukes? I would rather not give them an incentive to go get nuclear weapons. I'm anti-nuclear weapons for anyone.
Now the question remains, is an airstrike on a nuclear facility a declaration of full war? Or is it just a tiny little bit of help towards Israel, one of our allies? Does this have a little to do with what Netanyahu had to say in Fox the other day when he claimed that Iran tried to kill Trump twice? What has the president said? Let's take a watch.
I've had it for a long time. In the first term I had it, but you guys were after me. I said I had to focus. I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. It's a big difference. Big difference.
I was the hunted, now I am the hunter. Is this a little bit of retaliation from Mr. President Trump? Well, they try to kill you twice, you would at least try to retaliate. But is this about Trump or is this about America? What's the answer to that question is the most important thing. Now, of course, MAGA Republicans are furious, and they have not fallen short from showing their not so much of sympathy towards this potential decision that Trump will make. Let's take a watch at Charlie Kirk as he gave his honest opinion on this case.
Take out the mullahs, knock them out. You got John Bolton, who's getting a little excited. Let me translate for you right now. He writes in the Wall Street Journal, and you guys know I'm pro-Israel. I don't think I need to prove that any further. I have the scars to prove that I'm pro-Israel from all the campus events. Iran's Ayatollahs are weaker than ever. Let me tell you what John Bolton is really saying here. He's basically saying that we should go for the throat and we need to execute regime change. That is what John Bolton is saying in neocon speak, in so many words. But did you know that we only have a problem in Iran at the scale and the magnitude that we currently have because we involved ourselves in regime change? America has a long history of regime change with Iran. Historically, Iran was then called Persia way back in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. It was ruled by a Shah, an absolute monarch. During World War II, the British and the Soviets invaded Iran because they were worried that it would ally with Hitler. They deposed the ruling Shah, throwing the country into turmoil. The Shah's son took power, but then he was overthrown too. Iran came under the rule of a prime minister who had a lot of popular support. But to be honest, he was kind of a communist. He wanted to nationalize the oil. His name was Mossadegh. He was not a great guy. He basically tried to make himself a dictator. He tilted towards the Soviet Union, and he was hostile to American economic interests. So our leaders got in their heads that they should overthrow him. So they said, this guy is bad. How could anything get worse than Mossadegh? But he was largely secular. He was not Islamic. So we, in our American mind, said, this guy is terrible. He's a communist. Take him out. What could be worse than Mossadegh? So we did. And by the way, our government lied about it for years. The CIA and MI6 assisted the Iranian military in overthrowing Mossadegh. They lied about it, and finally declassified files showed that, no, we were involved and we got rid of the democratically elected, somewhat communistic Mossadegh, interfering with the self-determination of the Iranian people.
Well, Mr. Charlie Kirk actually makes pretty good points. So what do you think? Should we get involved? We'll talk about the Shah's son that got overthrown here in just a minute, but let's continue with MAGA. Now, Tucker Carlson had a lot to say about this with Ted Cruz, and let's say that it wasn't Ted Cruz's best hour.
Ron, by the way.
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people living around?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah,
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's,
because,
it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay,
actually,
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
Israel.
Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay. And of course, Donald Trump had to come back to Tucker Carlson saying, somebody please explain to Cookie Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Trump did specify that. Tucker Carlson called him to apologize about this whole incident. But to be fair, it wasn't just people going against Trump or MAGA supporters going against Trump. He also had support. Senator Lindsey Graham is calling for the U.S. to deploy boots on the ground in Iran. Now, that is not going to be a popular clip, and we're going to watch it, but no military boots on Iranian soil should be allowed. I can contemplate the plane in the bombs. Probably going to be 2 bombs, to be fair, or a few more, but no U.S. soldiers should be involved, I guess, other than the pilots that are going to be flying this plane. But let's take a look at Mr. Lindsey Graham.
Guarantee that? Can President Trump in any form, can you make the commitment that this would not lead to a longer war?
I can guarantee you that if the Ayatollah gets a nuclear weapon, he will use it. I believe that with all my heart and soul. So the men and women who serve, they're the ones going, not people answering a poll. And if you ask them, would you be willing to risk your life to stop the Ayatollah from having a nuclear weapon? All of them would say yes, because it makes their country, our country, safer. So we live in a world where you got to confront problems. You want to avoid World War III? Learn the lessons from World War II. People in World War II appeased Hitler to the point that it got so much out of hand, we had a world war and 60 million people got killed.
And of course, we have the Demis involved as well. The Democrats, some of them had to come out and speak and got involved. Bernie Sanders said that he still, and by the way, I said he's a Democrat. He said he's an independent. He's no independent. He's still very much a Democrat, although he might say different. It doesn't really matter. He did say that the Constitution of the United States is very clear. There's no ambiguity. It is Congress that determines whether we go to war, not the president. Trump must not take illegal military action against Iran. Well, we had to ask this question because he is the commander-in-chief, and as far as I was concerned, when I was deployed in South Korea, I was not scared of Bernie Sanders sending me to war. I was actually scared of Trump sending me to war against North Korea. And he didn't do that, actually. So I can attest that he is not pro-war unless provoked or for the sake of American people. And we had to ask Grok whether this is right or wrong. And what did Grok say? Well, it said that constitutionally Sanders is correct. Article 1, Section 8 gives Congress the power to declare war. However, presidents often initiate military actions without formal declarations, citing their commander-in-chief role, as seen in past conflicts like Vietnam. The War Powers Resolution of 1973 limits such actions, requiring congressional approval within 60 to 90 days, but its enforcement is debated. In 2025, with U.S.-Iran tensions high, Congress is pushing to reassert its authority, like Kane's recent resolution. Still, the line between presidential and congressional powers remain blurry in practice. So what do you guys think? Should Congress approve, or are we going to let the Democrats and Pocahontas and Bernie Sanders, you know, they're basically just like Joe Biden, sleeping their lives away, getting rich and richer and richer? Are we going to put our lives in their hands? Well, I don't know about all that. Now, a lot of people have been saying that the exiled crown prince of Iran, or Persia, which his name is Reza Pahlavi, says that the Islamic Republic has come to an end, and some say that he may be an option to retake his throne. Can that be possible? Can the people of Iran actually want him back? Was it a case of be careful what you wish for? They overthrown them, and now some of them may want him back. I don't know. Let's take a watch.
میهنانم جمهوری اسلامی به پایان خود رسیده و در حال سقوط است. خامنه‌ای همچون موشی هراسان زیر زمین پنهان شده و کنترل اوضاع را از دست داده است. آنچه آغاز شده برگشت ناپذیر است. آینده روشن است و ما با هم از این پیچ تند تاریخ عبور خواهیم کرد.
So which one is it going to be? Are we going to attack Iran, or are we going to just keep our hands to ourselves? You let me know in the comment section down below. This was a quick podcast of Veteran Uncensored. This is Chris Rodriguez. Thank you for your support. Subscribe, follow on Rumble, subscribe on YouTube, and smash the like button. Most importantly, I want to know your opinion. Let me know in the comment section below what you think.